Welcome back. Let's talk about this story now. Emergency services in the West Rand are in jeopardy due to the municipal workers' strike. The industrial action was sparked by the non-payment of benefits last month. The Gauteng government has pledged to place the municipality under administration. ENCA's Lindokuhle Xulu is live for us and he joins us from the West Rand. Lindo, good morning to you. So talk to us about how service delivery has been affected in the West Rand.
Well, Xoli, yesterday the municipal workers here in West Rand resolved that they won't be continuing with any work whatsoever, with any emergency services. They won't be rendering any services today and for the rest of the week until the MEC, Panyaza Lesufi, comes back to them with an answer as to what exactly will be happening to those third parties. When will they be paid? If they will be paid for November and December. Those are the answers that they are waiting for. But Panyaza Lesufi, speaking to them yesterday in front of the Premier's office, saying that they did find, in an assessment that they commissioned with COGTA, they did find that this municipality is dysfunctional and they put it under administration, that is the administration of the provincial government. But Xoli, allow me to just walk you through this. These are the employees, as they have resolved that they won't be actually working or rendering any services. They are outside the municipal building, and those visuals, these are the employees that took their trip to the Premier's office yesterday, and today they are just sitting outside the municipal building. I will be taking you in a second to the emergency vehicles to show you that indeed services are not being rendered at this stage. Of course, this comes after third parties such as your medical aid and all of that hasn't been paid. But I'm seeing one of the leaders, in fact, and I'm going to try and speak to them about what is the plan moving forward. Baba, thank you so much. I'm sorry for ambushing you. We are live. But just take us through what is the plan. We understand that you won't be rendering any services until your third parties are paid.
Yes, our position hasn't changed yet. So, as yesterday we were with the MEC, and then we make it very clear to say we are not going to render the services because you give us 7 days to respond to our demands. We are still waiting. Immediately when you respond to those demands and say to us, money has been processed, we are going to be paid, your third parties are going to be paid, that's when we'll be going back to work.
Talk to us about your concerns here, about the dangers of halting such essential services. We understand that this is a service that saves people's lives, but talk to us about your concerns as the workers. Are you not perhaps willing to go back to work just for the week until the MEC brings those answers?
No, the willingness is there. We are ready to go back to work at any given time. But it's not working. It's very useless for us to say you are going back to work, whereas our problems are not yet addressed. Look, Chief, my medical aid is suspended. I've just received a notice from Standard Bank that I can be evicted at any given time. How am I going to focus on doing my job as a professional correctly, whereas you are working under those circumstances? It's not going to assist us. So we are all frustrated as we see us here.
I mean, I'm just trying to get a sense of, essential services is saving lives, right? And if the MEC gave you a commitment that they will be responding in 7 days, and they also, made good ground in terms of putting this municipality under administration. But I'm just trying to get a sense of, are there any individuals who are saying, let us go back to work for these 7 days? Because we save lives, that's what we do.
No one that I know of. Look, if they claim us to be essential, why are we not treated as such? Because if you think these people are so professional in such a way that they deliver important services, you cannot tamper with their lives. You cannot even take any chances to put their families in a serious situation that they've done right now.
And in terms of the oath we take and say we are saving lives, what about that oath? Isn't that in conflict with the oath that you take to save lives?
Look, my mother's house there is in a very serious situation. Anything can happen. I'm also taking a risk on my side. My kid is at school as we speak. He can be in an accident and whatever. I'm also taking a risk in terms of that. And all of these employees that are seated here, they are kids, they have families, they travel every day to work, they go to different places, they can get involved in work. So, same is 50-50. You are compromising on the other side, and then the service is just the municipality is also compromising our lives. So you can imagine right now, we are driving our own cars. I know for the fact that I can get in an accident. Nobody will assist me here. So my life is also at risk. So you are all at risk.
All right, we'll just leave it there for now. We will catch up a bit later. But Xoli is remaining resolute in making sure that they do not render any services. And you hear even asking about the oath that they take when they come to this service, which is essential services and, emergency services, saving lives. But I am taking you now to their vehicles. These are the emergency vehicles. The gate in this municipality is locked, and these are all the vehicles that have been locked inside, reflecting exactly that there are no services that are being rendered here. We will be making our way to different communities just to get a sense of how they feel about particularly not being protected in this regard. But the municipality here, I can tell you, this gate behind me has been locked, and all of the vehicles that you saw going to the Premier's office are locked inside here, and the worker is remaining resolute, saying that they are also in danger. Their medical aid is not paid. They can be injured or get an illness at any time and not receive or be at the same danger that these residents in and around these areas are at. So they're saying that the municipality, they're saying that the provincial government and all of those need to fast track that for them to go back to work. Otherwise, they'd be risking their lives as well.
Just very quickly, Linda, is there any talk from the provincial government about how this 77 million rand that was placed in VBS Bank will be plugged, how that hole will be plugged? Has there been any indication?
Well, Xoli, everyone is waiting with bated breath to see what exactly happened to that money, how it can be replenished, how it can be recovered in terms of these municipalities receiving that money. But I can tell you, Panyaza Lesufi, the MEC, who has been at the forefront of trying to figure out solutions for these municipalities, did say that this money, in fact, it could not help these workers particularly because that money was earmarked for a development of infrastructure as well as other things in in this particular region. When it would come back, it would not necessarily go to the workers or employees payment or of salaries, but it would go to other infrastructure developments in the area. So even if that money were to come back today, the impasse that the workers are having at this particular point in time would still stand. But a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, as we saw the Premier as well as the MEC Panyaza Lesufi announcing that there are plans to put this municipality under administration.
All right, Lindo Gutlekulu on the ground for us in the West Rand municipality. Thanks very much for that update. Of course, the monies around the monies that these municipalities had put with VBS, a lot of talk. I think it was actually last week sometime at Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance that there was very little to be recovered. And if anything was to be recovered, it will take a long time before those monies would eventually be realized or recovered. Let's stay with this theme of municipalities that invested money with VBS and to another struggling council now, the Dr. Ruth Sekgomotsi Mompati District Municipality that's in the Northwest Province, where the spotlight over millions of rands is unspent provincial municipal grant money. The VBS Mutual Bank forensic report found a number of financial irregularities in that particular council. For more on this, we're joined by my colleague Michael Apple, who joins us from the newsroom camera to discuss this. Mike, good morning to you. So you visited this particular municipality, and what did you find in terms of service delivery?
Ngambi, there is indeed a foul smell that has settled over Dr. Ruth Sekgomotsi Mompati District Municipality. Not only because it invested 150 million rand of taxpayers' money illegally in VBS, but because there's literally raw sewage running through the streets in some areas. So I spent about 3 days out in the northwest in this district looking at if this municipality could afford to invest what is conditional grant money from National Treasury that is meant for municipal infrastructure grants, bulk infrastructure, roads, the expanded public works program. Whether this particular district could really afford it, the answer is a very resounding no. People are living in deplorable conditions there. There is rubbish piled about my height 6 foot, and there is raw sewage running through the streets. There are parts of Vryburg, an area called Huhudi, where there hasn't been running water in the taps for 8 years. We happened to stumble upon a truck that was delivering water. This truck delivers water Monday to Sunday throughout the day. There are continuous water cuts. There are power cuts in the area. Naledi local municipality that falls under the Dr. RSM District Municipality has been named as one of the biggest defaulters to Eskom, a whopping 280 million rand in unpaid bills to Eskom. So you take this 150 million rand, which is gone. On the VBS forensic report, Dr. RSM is listed there with 101 million rand that was still in the bank at the time that the forensic report comes out. It's the most of any of the municipalities. I've seen documentation where 60 million was invested earlier in February 2017. They invested, it comes back to them. They're one of the lucky municipalities where they actually got some money back. And then they invest another additional 150 million after that, which is gone. So Treasury has said, we want 158 million rand of that conditional grant money that you didn't use for what you were supposed to. We want it back, and we want it back by the 19th of November. This is a municipality looking at the conditions that can ill afford it.
Michael Apple, thank you very much, my colleague there in the newsroom, talking to us about that particular municipality that's affected, along with the other ones that invested monies in VBS. Well, I have an expert with me now in studio, Paul Berkowitz, who joins us to unpack the financial troubles facing these municipalities. Paul, thank you very much for giving us your time. So, Gauteng, at least 2 municipalities we know about here, invested with VBS. One of them now, the Premier stating yesterday that it's going to be placed under administration. Is that the right way to go? Perhaps will this be the sort of theme that is carried through by other provinces, such as Limpopo, which has the majority of these municipalities?
It's an interesting question, Carly, because is it the right path to go for the West Rand district? I don't think that the district and the province have a lot of options, and I think that obviously there's a lot of political undercurrents while we're dealing with the financial and the administration issues as well. So it might be premature. No one knows what's going to go on in Limpopo. We've seen in the last couple of weeks that there's the political heads in the province have been under a lot of pressure on TV and radio to explain why mayors and municipal managers and CFOs haven't been suspended or placed on leave, and there's no clear answers there. There's a degree of political protection going on. So I think the short answer is that the resolution and the solutions might differ from place to place, and there's going to be a heavy political tinge to whatever happens.
Paul, I think the question that intrigues many people, and me included, of course, is where will these monies come from to plug these holes? These are large sums of money that were placed in VBS by these municipalities. Where's that money going to come from?
Well, I think if I knew a simple answer to that, Carly, they might make me municipal manager or city manager. A couple of options, but they're not clear-cut and they're not inevitable, is that the banks themselves might get new loans from actual commercial banks this time, not from mutual banks, to plug those holes, and they might have to restructure the finances. The other issue which Mike Apple spoke about is that some of the conditional grants might get reabsorbed and reallocated to operational grants to plug the holes, but that's very unusual, and I don't think Treasury would want to set a precedent. Well, they wouldn't want to entrench that. So those are 2 immediate ideas that spring to mind.
Talk to us, Paul, about the impact on service delivery that this is likely to have. We're already seeing the inklings of this with the West Rand District Municipality. The workers there now have completely downed tools, saying 7 days, you might come back with an answer that says, yes, there'll be monies available and we'll pay you, but there's just no guarantee. How severe is service delivery going to be impacted in these municipalities?
I think to go back a step, Carly, is to say, when you look at these municipalities, and as they've been described, West Rand, the Northwest municipalities, the Limpopo ones. Unfortunately, this isn't a once-off event. This isn't a case of a well-run municipality that suddenly made a mistake because there was a rogue mayor or municipal manager. A lot of these municipalities owe Eskom a lot more money than they lost in VBS. There have been service delivery problems for years. A lot of those Northwest municipalities have had problems with water and sanitation even before they lost the money. So worst case scenario, this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but these municipalities were already limping and struggling along. So what we're hearing is municipal employees who are not getting paid, who have down tools. That's frightening, that the whole district is without emergency services and emergency medical services. It obviously is going to have a negative impact, but these municipalities were already suffering, some of them quite badly.
Paul, just as a final point, the other issue here that clearly has been almost as a consequence of these municipalities investing these monies, as you've seen municipal managers being placed on suspensions, the financial people within these municipalities also being placed on suspension. The issue here, Paul, that also has been very big with the municipalities is the deficit in skills. A skills deficit, and can we really talk a turnaround in these municipalities without addressing that very important issue of skills deficit?
The two are related. I think that what we've seen historically over the last 5-10 years, Carly, is that the skills deficit is not something that was inevitable. That in a lot of cases, mayors and municipal managers were acting where positions weren't filled. And there are a lot of reasons for that, and some of them aren't that savory. So it shouldn't be difficult to find qualified people at the top. And I think that is the major problem. I don't think it's a question of not having the capacity at middle management and lower level. It's about finding the right people, and it's not difficult. It's more of a political will than an issue of a skills deficit.
All right, Paul Berkowitz, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for making it to the studio to talk to us about these struggling municipalities that place monies in VBS. We'll have much more in terms of news when we return. You're watching ENCA Now.